All right, so this is Overcoming Hate Setback Series, and the topic today is haters do not want your help. Now, remember from the introduction to the series, I referenced a YouTube channel, Big Ward, the genius, and how he made a comment concerning a friend who took over a role that a white man led for about 10 years, and his friend is black woman, and she took over the role, and all of the co-workers served that man for 10 years, right? That white man for 10 years. But once she took over the role, all of a sudden they decided to quit. And um, and she was having a conversation with her friend, who is the YouTube channel owner, and said that all I want to do is help and get you to the next place. And somewhere in the middle of his discussion, his YouTube video discussion, he makes this assessment. He makes this conclusion. Haters don't want your help. So I will leave a link in the description box so you can access that video. But this statement here, and again, as I noted in the introduction, I'm quite sure um, he did not invent this statement. However, I felt that it was so significant to my own journey with dealing with people who sort of reject you, hate you, or tend to be jealous of you. I thought it, sort of fitting to credit him. So, haters do not want your help, and help is in quotation marks. The help that is in quotation marks really does refer to advancing you, because that was the basis of his discussion, and that's usually the basis of your your life, your relationships with people who don't want your help. You have something, as I've always noted, you have something that the other person needs, and the other person has something that you need. And when a person decides to withdraw or withhold uh, anything that could be of good to you, that could be knowledge, wisdom, understanding, instruction, some direction, etc. When they decide to withhold anything that is of good for you, that hinders your path. It doesn't stop your path completely, because whatever God has for you is going to be for you. Um, but it does bring a halt. It does influence your path. It does influence you. Your help then is the same thing when you're trying to help somebody. You may have access to resources. You may have financial acumen. You may be the door that they need to walk through to get to where they need to get to on the other side. You may be the person, you could be the generational person who's going to change things. You could be the person who decides to open up a business and help the homeless, right? You can do a number of things. And since I mentioned the homeless, there's been this kind of like ongoing trend of cities wanting to resolve the homelessness problem, because it is affecting businesses. Businesses are leaving the city, which means economic dollars, financial dollars are leaving the city. And these are hotels, these are major businesses, right? Okay. Well, there's this ongoing trend with homeless people who do not want to go into the shelter. Uh, they say that there are too many rules, or they feel that it's dangerous. So they would rather stay outside in the elements and um, risk some violence towards them than to go inside. Now, I've stayed in the shelters before. I had a downtime in my life uh, during the financial recession, so I had to go in. I had to live with family, and then there were issues with family, and so then I had to go back and forth. So I've had my own journey, and I never supported living outside. Because I'm the kind of person, I have to shower every day. I have to be able to do what I need to do as a woman. But when you say you don't want the help of the shelter has beds. The shelter has an inside facility. The shelter has food. The shelter has air conditioning or heater, right? The shelter has clothes for you. The shelter has, yes, the shelter does have a curfew, but that's also for your protection. The shelter has a number of access to resources, so telephone numbers you can call. The shelter allows for you to receive mail there. Now, most shelters require you to take everything with you, so if you've gathered a lot of stuff over the years, right, it's going to be hard for you to go into a shelter because you can't bring all that stuff into the shelter. But for a time being, if you set a goal to go in, stay in, if they permit for 3 months, get access to resources, things like that, maybe put your name on a housing list. No, it's not as easy as I just listed off, but it's help. And haters don't want your help. So the haters today who are homeless don't want the help of the homeless shelter. They don't want the help of the local government now buying and purchasing motel properties so that they could house homeless people, namely the migrants, but homeless people in general. They don't want that. And they have gone on camera and said they would rather sleep outside. So haters don't want your. So it's something about the system, and you don't get to a point in your life where you are at the age you are and homeless, hating the system from that age. You hated the system way before that, and the system could have been the orphanage. The system could have been you having to move from home to home. The system could have been dealing with abusive parents. So you have had some kind of hate, or hate was projected onto you that um, um, you have a problem with the system. That's not the only example. You could think about a family member who always sort of has his hand out for help, um, and it's usually finances, right? Can you give me $20 here, $40 or something like that? But when you want to sit down and impart some wisdom in that person, they don't want to listen. They don't want that help. They want the money help, but they don't want the wisdom help. Because if you're having to ask me every week for $20, $25, $30, $40, or money for partly on your rent, okay, you're missing a step in your financial development, in your financial understanding. You're missing an understanding of something. You have a gap, and I always tell people to conduct a gap analysis. That's a business term, and it's the difference between what is and what should be. If you are always having to ask money from people, then you are struggling to manage your own money, what you get every month, right? Or what you get every week or 2 weeks from your job. If you don't have a job, then that's your gap. That's your what is. What should be is you need to know how to manage your money. You need to keep a job, a sustainable job that's going to pay you every week or every 2 weeks, right? You need to do all that you can to be an adult. That's the what should be. But they don't want that help. I've had people ask me for money, and I didn't catch it early enough. And these were family members and friends, and I've had them to ask me for money, and but when I wanted to talk about something that I learned from, say, a conference I went to, or a book I read, or someone told me something that had an impact on my life, they get up and leave the room. They won't call you. Um, they try to change the conversation quickly. They do all that they can to not receive that help. That is the strangest thing. I never thought about it until now. They do everything that they can not to receive that actual help. But they will continue to come and, um, even if they're not asking you for money, they could waste your time. Okay, they can always have you going to different places, and here it is, you can't get anything done, and they may be interrupting you as you're trying to write a book or trying to get something done with your business. And then when you try to impart in them something of value, they don't want that help. So keep in mind, think about it like this: they're going to do all that they can to keep from receiving your help. They'll leave the room. They won't call you. They'll create an argument. They will provoke you to anger. They will mock you. They will do all that they can. And it could be a fear of moving forward. But but it's really, to me, a fear of responsibility. Because once you tell them something that is going to have an impact and require them to do something, then they now have to take responsibility for that knowledge. So it's like a kid, a toddler. You're trying to talk to the toddler, and the toddler puts his hands on his ears and says, and basically suggests he doesn't want to listen. That's who they are at their core. They're toddlers. Because if you tell the toddler to go pick up your toys and put them in the box, and the toddler falls out on the floor and cries, then that is the beginning of a person's issue with problem solving. And so there's a problem going on in their life that needs to be resolved. You may be the solution in terms of imparting wisdom, but they have decided not to listen, and they have decided not to receive your help. And they could be jealous of the help, or they could just be, again, fearful that they would have to take responsibility. So, Overcoming Hate Setback Series, Haters Do Not Want Your Help. Visit reginayfavors.com for more tips. Thank you very much for listening.